Welcome back to Great Day Washington. Motherless Brooklyn premieres this weekend in D.C. It is about a lonely private detective who has Tourette's syndrome and is trying to solve the murder of his mentor and only friend. Now, this film, it was written, produced, and directed by Edward Norton, who also happens to be the star in the film. I sat down with the Maryland native to talk about his latest project and also his favorite part about coming back to D.C.
So director, writer, star, what was your favorite role?
You know, writing is kind of lonely.
Yeah.
Writing, you're like always like wanting to run out and take a coffee break, and you're just kind of. Writing's hard because you're alone and because you just have to kind of like keep pushing yourself. Mm-hmm. I think that I always love acting, especially when you have fellow cast members of this quality, when almost everyone who's flowing through the story and you're interacting with, one is greater than the next, and they're all bringing like pure oxygen. You know what I mean?
Right,
it's like
right.
it's really. I never really get over that part of it. It's completely thrilling to me to work with like Willem Dafoe, who was an idol of mine, or a new talent like Gugu Mbatha Raw. Mm-hmm. Directing is satisfying but hard.
Yeah. I saw some of the other interviews you did with your castmates and trying to like give them a note while you're in the middle of a scene or the middle of shooting it, say, hey, you can drop that line or something. Was that hard to do, to give them notes as you're acting alongside of them?
Yeah, I think that was my biggest anxiety, was that because actors help each other. People, you know, it's like right now people watching at home, they don't see all of what's around us, right? But there's a lot of, on a film it's the same. There's lights and there's mics and there's there's people moving, and there's a lot of technical distraction. And actors help each other by creating this bubble of pretend. You know, you pretend together that none of that is going on.
Yeah.
And when one of you is breaking out and going, I'm gonna go look at what we just did, or
Right.
I need to check the shot, or I need to find out what, you know, it's like you're sort of you risk shattering the deal, like almost like the alliance that you've got. And I was worried about that, but part of my solution was cast like people who are stone cold pros.
I thought the music really played a great role in this movie. Talk about the theme song, right? You got an email at 6 a.m. that said, here's what I'm thinking of the theme song, and it really moved you and it played a big part?
Yeah, Tom York, who's the singer and musician in Radiohead, is an old friend of mine. I'm like a massive fan of their band and his music alone, and he wrote this song called Daily Battles for the film that was just, even his first demo of it on the piano was so moving that it affected me to the degree that it made me realize that I wanted to actually emphasize certain themes that the song made more clear to me in some ways.
Yeah, you rewrote a couple lines.
I added lines. Even the phrase "daily battles" comes into a scene now in the film.
Was it fun, speaking of different eras, to go back to the 1950s to put this together? Or was that a time period you'd always been in love with?
No, not in particular. I was really interested in these things that happened in New York in that period that were very dark. I also felt the character has Tourette's syndrome and obsessive compulsive disorder, and I think that by setting in that era, I think people were less sensitive to disabilities. They didn't know what that was. You know, the people, they call him freak show. It's not a kind era. It wasn't kind to people in, you know, minorities. African Americans were suffering incredible discrimination in the policies of the city, and people like my character were not treated kindly.
From Columbia, Maryland. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you have to do while you're back in D.C.? Is there a restaurant you have to go to while you're here?
It's funny, things change so much. I was driving through Georgetown just coming in here, and you know, I was thinking about clubs we used to go to when I was in high school, and even like the old 930 Club where you used to see punk rock and all the band. It's not where it used to be anymore. Like, so it's like the same and not the same. It's things change. But I always like, there's so much good theater in DC, and I had such a history in my youth of coming here to see theater that I love that still.
Where it all began.
Yeah.
Motherless Brooklyn will hit theaters in the DMV on Friday.